Marcy, I am so glad that you're back on the podcast for this episode.
Me too. I love chatting with my sister.
I know it's so good. I was thinking, it's a new year and we've had so many new people have an interest in Sprout over this last year that some are just not familiar with the basics of what we do, why we do it. And I thought, who better than you to have on to really dig into all the things that are new with Sprout, but also where the ideas came from and how they can have a huge impact. So thank you for doing this with me.
Yes, I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to talk all the new stuff that we have coming up.
All right, well, let's do it.
Okay, Barb, so your whole philosophy is all about starting small and watching big results grow. Can you share where that idea came from and how it's shaped your work with property managers?
Yeah, I think there's been something that's been so inspirational, impressive to me about something small and how it can lead to huge results. Like I think of the little seed, which was the inspiration for Sprout, like seeing something small that once cultivated could sprout into something amazing. And as a former property manager, knowing how limited property managers are on bandwidth, anytime I would go to a session or I'd hear about a tool and it would talk about this overhaul, I would just think to myself, that's just not realistic for a property manager. So from the beginning, even though our program and our methods and our strategies have evolved, it's always been with the idea of could we take something really tiny and then grow that into something that becomes a habit, a practice, a strategy that you grow and you build on. And that has actually seemed to have the biggest impact on managers. They feel it's doable, so they actually take it on and they'll stack on additional practices. And by the end, you've got a property manager that can do a ton of different things, but not because they did it all at once. And I think that's a really cool way to approach things.
So you often talk about full circle marketing and how everything connects, outreach marketing, retention, social media. Can you kind of break down how that works in real life for a property manager?
Yeah, so this actually came back from the overarching principle of starting small. I would see that managers would put on a hat for marketing and then they would take that off and they'd be like, oh man, I got to think about retention. And when social media got added on years later, it was like, oh man, now another one. And as it is, property managers wear so many hats. And so I kept thinking to myself, we do all of this work to attract prospects on the outside. And then on the inside, we're doing all this work to retain them. What if they became one and the same, an initiative that basically helped feed each other? So it starts with our current residents, like we baby our current residents. And let's say we're doing an initiative for pet friendly, and that's a theme for the month. I love themes too. So we're doing that theme. Rather than taking off that retention hat, it's like, how can we now integrate marketing and social media to bring that to life? What that does is it just lets a manager get a bigger bang for his or her buck, because when you're planning out an initiative and you think, okay, we're going to really dig deep on pet friendly this month, how can we showcase that on the outside? And then how can our social media reflect that? And then at the same time, it's like, do we need to update our policies or our resident notices? And you kind of, if you do that month over month and you really do this full circle approach, you're going to get really good at it. You're going to start thinking, oh, we could weave this into the way we answer our phone. We could weave this into our emails. You're going to actually build out over time these systems that give you a ton of different things. So one month it might be marketing a certain amenity. One month it might be a special that you get really good at promoting your one bedrooms, but how do you do that on the inside and outside? Like how do you resell the lifestyle? And so it really puts you in the mindset of saying this needs to be a 2 for 1 or really a 3 for 1. So whatever we're doing for marketing has to apply to retention and it's got to get woven into social. And all of a sudden, the property manager doesn't feel so pulled in a million directions. And I've said it before, it's kind of like when you pick out a blouse, like if you can wear it more than one way, now that blouse that maybe cost $60, $50, whatever, it doesn't feel so bad because you can wear it casual to work, you can wear it to an appointment, all these different things, and you see the value because it is able to be repurposed in many ways. And that's what content and marketing and retention, that full circle approach allows you to do that.
Okay, so for someone who's really not familiar with your work, we all know how much you like frameworks, right? So can you talk about the one that you have for retention? I think it's Reach, right?
It is. You better know what that one is.
I
No, it is. And I do love frameworks because I think they're easy to remember. REACH is the framework that we created for retention, and it stands for renewals, events, appreciation, communication. And then the H is doing all of those things with heart, which is that personal connection. And the reason that I wanted it to be in a framework is because I think sometimes property managers, they think of retention and they think renewals. Renewals is just one piece of it. It's all these other things that we do that are leading to the renewal. And if I had to say anything, I think H, the heart that we infuse into everything we do, is the most important. So everything that we do at Sprout, all of our focus when it comes to retention is how do you put an emphasis on those things every single month? So you're not scrambling at the end when a lease is up for renewal. It just becomes a part of what you're doing. And it really is a part of that full circle strategy where you're just touching all those touch points on a regular basis, no emergency mode. And so it's easy to remember: reach, renewals, events, appreciation, communication, and doing it with heart.
So for some of us, we know social can be a little bit challenging. I know you have a framework for social media, and it's the power of three. Can you kind of delve into that a little bit deeper?
Yeah, social can be so overwhelming even when we tackle ours. So for me, the power of three is actually a double power of three. So it starts with the intention, which is our goal with social is first to get attention to stop the scroll. Then it is to, over time, gain trust, because trust eventually leads to influence. So it's attention, trust, influence. That's the power of three. What that allows you to do is you're posting with intention. So is this post going to get somebody's attention? It doesn't have to be crazy out of the box, but will it get somebody's attention? Done consistently, can I gain their trust, being a trusted resource? And then will I eventually have an impact in their buying decision or their renewing decision because I now have influence? But you have to have the first two. They don't stop to look at your stuff. You don't even get to trust and influence. And if you get their attention, but for the wrong reasons, or if you post and ghost, you don't get that trust. And so you never get to that coveted influence spot. The second power of three that I like to talk about is just a posting formula, which is whether it's a video, a caption, a carousel, anything that you're doing. It's, again, how do I do that? What is my hook? So again, getting that attention. How can I add value? So that's where the trust comes in. And then the call to action is almost influence in the same way. So done consistently, hook, value, call to action, you're going to get that attention, trust, and influence so that they work together.
I'm really excited to talk about this because the latest and greatest from Sprout is Spark right now. And I'd really like it if you kind of explained it to us. What is Spark?
Well, Spark was really, it's a membership. It's our baseline foundation membership, but what is unique about Spark is it is actually designed for the individual. So all of our other memberships are really community based. They're resources just for the community. Spark is actually the foundation for all of our other memberships. I started seeing over and over managers just overwhelmed and saying, like, okay, what would you do if you were in this situation? And I found myself saying the same steps over and over again, because again, it's that full circle approach that I love that I've seen work with thousands of managers. So one day I'm in a session and I'm explaining to a manager, and she's like, okay, that was so simple. Why has nobody explained it like that? And then I thought, okay, this is so simple. Why do we not have it in our membership like that? So we had all these components and they were all available and they were great. But two things were missing. One, it was missing the actual step-by-step layout on how to do it. And two, it was missing that personal component. I just saw for myself in a rough year that I had personally, and then talking to so many managers that either had a difficult year personally or professionally, that a lot were losing their spark. And so I wanted to figure out a way to infuse that. And to me, the individual, like what we each bring to the table, whatever is going on in our life is going to impact how we show up for our work, for our communities. And so this membership adds a personal component. It's a personal coaching. I wanted to be able to take that experience of going and speaking on stages nationwide, but bring that to a smaller community where they could be coached by me and have the resources of the Sprout team at an affordable price point. So you and I are both super excited about it, and I just cannot wait for people to get in on it.
So you've created solutions for almost every type of property manager. Can you kind of go into those solutions and the memberships that we offer?
Yeah, so I mean, specifically, we deal in the world of marketing, retention, and social media. And we wanted memberships accessible for any challenge that you're dealing with. We have now what we talked about, the Spark membership, that is for someone that wants a monthly strategy, a guide, and tips and resources, and really would like to be coached to be better. So that's the Spark. If social media is the main challenge, we have a Simply Social membership, which offers caption templates and graphics that are specifically for multifamily housing. I think what's really cool, now in an age of AI where you can get content very easily available, is our content is written in a way to hit those markers like we talked about. So we're really working to build that attention, that trust, that influence, but it is also hitting on our categories for multifamily. So it's not just random content, it's content that leads to engagement, that leads to traffic, that leads to people getting to know your team. It's a very complete guide. And I think if for the property manager that just doesn't have time to strategize and then implement, it's a great starting point. We give it to you and then you can customize it to make it your own. So people love that one. Then we have the retention membership, which is that reach formula. Every month, managers get 12 new event ideas, shopping lists from Amazon. So if they just want everything directly sent over. But something that a lot of people don't know is that we actually put these events together to make sure they're doable within a manager's time frame. We make it easy to where it's budget friendly because we know not everybody has a huge budget, and they're events that people would want to attend. So they're within trend. And I think that's really cool. We also give them resources for things like their renewals and their appreciation notices, all that good stuff. So those are the three. And then the Mac Daddy is the all access. And that one has absolutely everything that we talked about in those previous memberships. So it has the Spark, the Simply Social, the Retention Reach program, but it also includes a component for marketing. And it has this awesome catalog with thousands of digital graphics, flyers that are printables, newsletters, calendars, all that can be customized in a free Canva account. So it's like a closet where everything can be customized to fit your community. And that is the all access. So Spark is for the person, the DIYer, and all access is for someone that wants the ideas, but also wants the tools to implement.
So for someone who's listening and they're ready to start small to see those big results, what's one simple action they can take today?
One to me would be assessing where you're actually at and what is your biggest pain point. We a lot of times just operate in emergency mode. We get really good at that as property managers, but really looking at what is your biggest pain point? Where is the biggest struggle? It may be a training issue. It might be that you don't have the right person in the right seat or they don't know how to do their job. And so you're constantly having to stop. And so now you have two people that are basically handicapped. It might be a process that's broken and it's causing a lot of frustration. Or it might be the fact that you just have certain units that are not moving or a lot of leases expiring that are coming up in the next month and you're going to be in trouble if you don't give them attention. So I think just getting clarity on what needs the highest level of priority and then giving attention to how to actually do that in the most efficient way. So as property managers, one of the biggest assets that we have is our time and our mental energy. Learning to manage those two well is a really great place to start and getting clarity on what is your biggest pain point and then taking action based on that. I think that's why I'm so excited about Spark. It makes it really easy to identify those things. But for those that maybe don't have that $7 budget, have it in the budget, I think almost anyone could skip a latte one day and have that. I really think it's just getting clarity on exactly where they need to start and then laser focus on that action till you can add something else on there.
All right, Barb. So this has been great. I've loved learning a little bit more about your philosophies and everything about Spark. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we jump off?
I don't know, Marcia. I think one of the biggest things is just to say to the property manager that's struggling, the fact that you're here, that you're listening, it just tells me that you want to do better and be better. And that just says so much about you. So hang in there. We can do this together. I've been there. I have my own struggles on a weekly basis, and community and having the right resources is huge. So I just want to say I'm so glad you're here. And I hope that even if you don't join a membership, that you continue to listen to this podcast. Go back and binge some of the old ones. There's a lot of strategies in there. There's a lot of little tips. We've had some great experts. And I am a firm believer that the knowledge and like learning is what is something nobody can ever take away from you. So if this is a career that you want to have for a long time, the more that you know, the more valuable that you are. And a lot of these principles will apply to all different areas of life too. So I just want to say thank you for being here.
Barb, this was so great. I'm so excited about Spark. I'm so excited about some of these frameworks that you went into detail about and the different memberships that Sprout offers. Thank you for answering all my questions.
Thank you, Mars. Thanks for doing this. It just hit me that this is our 15th year of doing business. So I think when I think about Sprout 15 years ago, and you were there pretty close to the beginning, it's
Well,
crazy to see how far we've come. But I think what's so cool is that we're still serving the property manager. So I went into creating Sprout with the property manager because my heart was always there. And I mean, isn't it kind of neat to see all the ideas like we had even 15 years ago now being buttoned up into such easy to use tools, and seeing that not hundreds, but literally thousands of managers have taken advantage of this. I just think I'm so appreciative.
It's incredible, and I feel really fortunate to have even been a little part in some of this, and it's so exciting.
I know. All right, guys. Well, this has been so much fun. Catch me on the next episode of the Multifamily Mix. Bye.
Oh, hey, I'm so glad you're still here. This is Ashley. I edit all of the podcasts for the Multifamily Mix, and this is my secret bonus round of the podcast that I like to call the Multifamily Mix-Ups. So this is all of the moments that we tried our best to be professional, and we just failed. Enjoy the chaos. By the way, just trust me, these are all so much better on the video, so go watch that if you're listening to the audio version.
Way to
Huh?
There's no way through it but through it. Is that what it is?
I'm sure that's super close.
It has to be something similar, right?
Okay, hold on. Now, yeah, but now I'm confused, so hold on. The only way out is through. Right?
Mind blown.
Oh! Did that sound weird?
Oh, that was great.
Okay.
You are just fantastic.
All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's Multifamily Mix. Keep shaking things up at your community, your career, and most importantly, your life. Until we mix and mingle again, see you next week, friend.